In the middle of the ocean, something strange happens. A shark is hunting. Fast. Silent. Controlled. Everything looks normal. Until suddenly, the shark stops. It changes direction. It hesitates. And then it leaves. Not because of humans. Not because of noise. But because something else is in the water. Something that does not look stronger than a shark. Something smaller. A dolphin. Now here is the question scientists still debate today. How can an animal known for intelligence make one of the most dangerous predators in the ocean back away without a fight? Is it fear? Is it strategy? Or is there something about dolphins we still do not fully understand? Because in the wild, sharks do not usually retreat. Unless they have a reason. And what happens between dolphins and sharks is not random. It is repeated across oceans. Across decades. Across species. So the real question is not just, can dolphins defeat sharks? The real question is, why do sharks sometimes refuse to fight them at all? Introduction, documentary setup. To understand this, we need to remove the myth first. The ocean is not a place of heroes and villains. It is a system of survival. Every animal follows one rule. Energy in. Energy out. No waste. No unnecessary risk. And sharks are perfect examples of this system. They do not fight for dominance. They fight for survival. So when a shark changes behavior, it is never emotional. It is always logical. Which means something about dolphins triggers a response that makes fighting not worth it. But what exactly is that trigger? To answer that, we need to break down three things. First, how sharks actually behave when they hunt. Second, what dolphins do differently when they are in groups. And third, the moments where these two worlds collide in real ocean encounters. Because only then can we understand what is really happening beneath the surface. Segment 1, How Sharks Really Think. Sharks are not mindless predators. They are calculated hunters. Every movement is energy efficient. They test. They circle. They observe. A shark does not rush into danger unless it is confident of victory. Even the great white shark, one of the most feared predators on Earth, avoids unnecessary injury at all costs. Because in the ocean, injury often means death. No recovery time. No protection. No second chances. So when a shark evaluates a target, it is not just asking, can I kill it? It is asking, is it worth the risk? And this is where things become interesting. Because dolphins do not behave like typical prey. They do not scatter. They do not panic in predictable ways. They move in coordination. They react instantly. And most importantly, they do not act alone. Segment 2, The Power of the Pod. Dolphins rarely travel alone. They move in pods. And a pod changes everything. Because in the ocean, coordination is power. When dolphins move together, they create something that looks simple from outside. But is extremely complex in reality. They communicate constantly. They synchronize movement. And they respond as a single unit. Now imagine a shark trying to isolate one target. That strategy works on fish. It works on seals. But with dolphins, the situation changes. Because isolation becomes almost impossible. Every movement is covered. Every angle is watched. And the shark is no longer facing one animal. It is facing a system. A living network. And that changes the risk calculation completely. Segment 3, First Real Conflict Zone. Now let's enter real encounters observed in the wild. Not theories. Not assumptions. Actual ocean behavior recorded by marine researchers. In several cases, sharks approaching dolphin pods have shown a consistent pattern. They approach slowly. They circle at distance. And then something unusual happens. They disengage. Not always. But often enough to raise scientific interest. Because sharks are not easily intimidated. So why withdraw? The answer may lie in one critical factor. Injury risk. Dolphins, when threatened, do not behave like prey. They can strike. They can ram. And they can coordinate attacks using speed and direction changes that are difficult to predict. A shark does not need to lose a fight once. It only needs to get injured once in the wrong place. And that risk changes everything. Segment 4, the intelligence factor. To understand dolphins versus sharks, you have to understand one key difference. Sharks react. Dolphins think. Not in a human way, but in a highly coordinated survival system. Dolphins have one of the most advanced communication networks in the ocean. They use clicks, whistles, and body signals that change instantly depending on threat level. When a shark enters their space, something changes immediately. The pod does not panic. It reorganizes. Fast. What looks like chaos from the outside is actually structured defense. Smaller dolphins move inward. Stronger adults move outward. The entire group shifts into a protective formation. This is not random behavior. It is survival programming built through evolution. And this is where sharks start losing their advantage. Because sharks rely on isolation. Dolphins remove isolation completely. Segment 5, Shark Advantage Breakdown. On paper, sharks have everything. Powerful bite force. Sharp teeth. Speed bursts. And silent underwater movement. A great white shark can strike with extreme force in seconds. So logically, it should dominate dolphins easily. But nature is not just about raw power. It is about control of the encounter. And sharks have one major weakness. They are built for short, decisive attacks. Not prolonged conflict. If a target does not break quickly, the shark risks injury. And injury is the real danger in the ocean. A damaged shark cannot hunt properly. It becomes vulnerable. Even to smaller threats. So when dolphins resist in coordinated groups, the shark is forced into a decision. Engage and risk injury. Or withdraw and survive. And many times, it chooses survival. Segment 6, Dolphin Defense Strategy. Dolphins are not passive animals. When threatened, they can become highly aggressive. They use speed, precision, and coordination as defense tools. One of the most documented behaviors is ramming. A dolphin can strike with its body at high speed, targeting sensitive areas like the shark's gills or underside. This is not random impact. It is controlled movement. Another behavior is surrounding the shark. Instead of running away, dolphins may form a circle or tight formation around it. This creates confusion. The shark loses directional advantage. And in water, losing direction means losing control. There are also recorded cases of dolphins protecting injured members of their pod by directly confronting sharks. This is important. Because it shows this is not just defense. It is social defense. Segment 7, What Scientists Actually Observe. Marine researchers studying shark and dolphin interactions have noticed a pattern. Sharks rarely engage healthy dolphin pods for long periods. Encounters are usually brief. Observational. Then they end. However, this does not mean dolphins beat sharks in a traditional fight. It means something more complex. Sharks are risk calculators. If the probability of injury becomes too high, they disengage. Dolphins increase that risk through coordination, speed, and unpredictable movement. So the interaction is not a battle of strength. It is a battle of decision-making. And in many cases, the shark decides it is not worth continuing. Segment 8, Real Ocean Encounters. Across different oceans, marine researchers and divers have recorded something consistent. Sharks and dolphins do meet. But long aggressive battles are rare. Instead, most encounters follow a pattern. A shark approaches. It studies the pod. It circles at a distance. Then after a short period, it leaves. Not because it was attacked first. Not because it was injured in every case. But because the situation becomes unclear. And in the ocean, uncertainty is dangerous for predators. Sharks rely on clear targets. Clear movement. Clear advantage. But dolphins remove that clarity. They move fast. They stay connected. And they do not behave like normal prey. So the shark cannot predict the outcome. And when prediction fails, hunting becomes risky. Segment 9, The Big Question Science Debates. Now we come to the most important point. Do dolphins actually defeat sharks? The honest scientific answer is more complex than yes or no. Dolphins do not defeat sharks like a movie battle. But they can influence outcomes. They can prevent attacks. They can force disengagement. And in rare cases, they can physically overwhelm a shark through coordinated defense. But this is not dominance. It is survival intelligence. Sharks are not afraid in an emotional sense. They are calculated. If dolphins increase the chance of injury or failure, the shark simply chooses another target. That is not fear. That is efficiency. And this is where the misunderstanding begins. People see sharks leaving and assume fear. But in reality, it is strategy. Segment 10, Why Dolphins Look Like They Win. Dolphins appear dominant in some encounters for one key reason. They operate as a unit. A shark operates alone. So when multiple dolphins respond together, the situation shifts quickly. The shark is no longer dealing with one opponent. It is dealing with multiple synchronized movements. Fast direction changes. Constant positioning shifts. And zero predictable patterns. From the shark's perspective, the encounter becomes unstable. And unstable hunts are not worth continuing. So it disengages. This is why videos and reports often show sharks leaving when dolphins appear. Not because dolphins are stronger. But because dolphins are harder to isolate. Segment 11, The Real Truth Behind the Myth. The idea that dolphins defeat sharks is popular online. But nature is not a simple winner and loser system. In reality, both animals are highly evolved survivors. Sharks dominate through power, stealth, and efficiency. Dolphins survive through intelligence, communication, and coordination. They are built for different survival strategies. And when those strategies meet, the outcome depends on environment, numbers, and situation. Not superiority. Not fear. Not dominance. Just survival logic. Final segment, Cinematic Ending. So the real question was never, can dolphins defeat sharks? The real truth is something far more interesting. Dolphins do not need to defeat sharks. And sharks do not need to fear dolphins. Because in the ocean, survival is not about fighting. It is about choosing the right moment not to fight. And that is what makes the ocean one of the most intelligent and unpredictable battlefields on Earth. Where strength does not always win. And intelligence does not always dominate. Only adaptation decides the outcome. Final hook, end screen style. So next time you see a dolphin in the ocean, remember this. It is not just a friendly creature playing in the waves. It is part of one of the most intelligent survival systems in the sea. And somewhere beneath it, a shark is making a decision. Not of fear, but of calculation. And that single decision decides everything.